Hello, good morning, my dear senior inter students. Welcome to this online classes. As you know, the online classes are continuing for the time being. And today in our English class, let us see the prose lesson, The Secret of Work. Hope you will listen to it very carefully and understand the important points in this lesson. And another thing, we should be ready for the colleges reopening whenever the government announces. Until then, the online classes will continue. So, my dear students, don't miss the online classes and regularly do the assignments given by the teachers and never postpone the works, whether college is working or not, but you should not stop working. Today, the lesson, The Secret of Work, it is a second lesson in our textbook, the prose lesson. Swami Vivekananda is the author of this, The Secret of Work, and it is a philosophical essay. It is a wonderful one. You listen to it, and every sentence in this prose piece is very interesting and also very important also. And we can see the human character and what to be done and what not to be done, and how we should put before all the things in our lives. And to be happy, what are the important things, and these things that we should see line by line here. And first, the agenda of this lesson is, let us see something about the author, Swami Vivekananda, saint, philosopher, a great genius. And the second, about the lesson in a brief manner. Next, the secret of work, the text, line by line, let us see. And finally, I have given just 2 questions as an assignment. And Swami Vivekananda, you know, a versatile genius of India of all time. He was born on 12th January in 1863 in Kolkata. His original name was Narendranath Datta. Actually, a few people know his original name, and he is popular as Swami Vivekananda only. His father was Vishwanath Datta. He was an attorney of Kolkata High Court, and his mother was Bhuvaneshwari Devi. And Swami Vivekananda was very much attached to his mother. Mother was very lovely person, very affectionate, and she used to answer all his questions. Sometimes he troubled with his naughty questions, and he was continuously questioning his mother about God, and he wanted to see God face to face. He was very eager to see God face to face. It was his nature. And as you know, every year, 12th January is celebrated as the National Youth Day. It is the birthday of Swami Vivekananda. And later he became a disciple of Ramakrishna Paramhamsa and received enlightenment. He became Swami. He became a great soul. He became a greatest person, saint, a great philosopher. So he was named as Swami Vivekananda when he became a monk. He was India's representative at the Parliament of World Religions held in Chicago in 1893. So his speech in that parliament was a very famous one. He filled the audience. Actually, the whole world looked back and turned out and looked at him. He was very young. He gave a very wonderful speech, especially about youth. So his message to youth is a very wonderful thing. And in that Parliament of World Religions, everyone started their speeches just addressing the people, ladies and gentlemen. But his way of addressing people was very different. My dear brothers and sisters, it was the way he started there, and it was a very wonderful beginning. This addressing was very much impressed, and the whole audience, the whole auditorium was very much a thunderous clapping. And his call to the nation, this is a very famous one, everybody knows it, and in every school and college we can see this: rise and awake and stop not till the goal is reached. In Telugu also, lemmu melkunumu నీ నీవు సాధించాలనుకునేది సాధించేంత వరకు ఆగుకు. So this is a famous quotation. Everywhere it is written. So his call to the nation. His works were compiled to form a 9-volume set, and the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and the present lesson, the secret of work, is also extracted from this, the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Such a wonderful writer, orator, saint, philosopher, and a versatile genius. Unluckily, unfortunately, India lost him when he was at the age of 39. He died in 1902. It is a great loss to the nation. So it is something about Swami Vivekananda. So here in this lesson, the secret of work, let us see the important things. I mean, a nutshell, a complete lesson in a nutshell. So the lesson throws light on the nature of work that we do. The secret of work. The lesson throws a light on the nature of work we do. What kind of work we should do, and in what way we should do the work. That's important. So in this lesson, we are going to see how we should work. And he says the miseries of the world cannot be cured by physical help. What is physical help? Physical help is a very tentative help, a temporary help. So it satisfies the person to whom we helped just tentatively. For example, a person is hungry, we give him a packet of food. That satisfies him for the time being only. Once again, he feels hungry just within 4 or 5 hours. So this physical help is a very temporary help. So this kind of help cannot cure the misery of the world. Unless man's character is changed, the miseries of man cannot be solved. This is the main point that we can see in this lesson, the secret of work. So we should become pure. Our character should be good. That's very important. So ignorance is the major cause of human misery. Ajnanam. మన యొక్క బాధలన్నిటికి కూడా మూల కారణం ఏమిటంటే అజ్ఞానము. So ignorance is the major cause of human misery. And here he uses the striking words from Bhagavad Gita. Work is worship. Work incessantly. మనం చేసే పనే దైవము. మనం ఏ పని చేసినా కంటిన్యూగా ఏ మాత్రం బ్రేక్ లేకుండా చేస్తూ ఉండాలి. Work incessantly. That's an important one. And we should never expect result. We should never think about result, whether good or bad. It is not judged by the people. The God decides whether it is a good work or bad work. So every work is a mixture of good and evil, that we know. Every work has good and evil. Every work has advantages and disadvantages. So we should work continuously, and the result is left to God. God will decide, and he will give us judgment. So we should work like master and not like a slave. When we work like a slave means automatically we get misery. When we work like a master, certainly there is a bliss. There is a kind of happiness. Always work with freedom and love, but never work like a slave with selfishness. Selfishness is the root cause of our slavery. When you love your work, automatically you have some kind of happiness. Your love in your work brings happiness. So without attachment, we should work. Attachment comes only when we expect a return. Whatever help we do to other people, we should never expect any kind of return. When we expect something from others for our help means that is attachment. That attachment will give you misery. So why? Attachment comes only when we expect a return. We can work continuously without expecting anything in return with love and liberation. So whatever work we do, they should be love and liberty. మనం చేసే పనిలో ప్రేమ, అందే విధంగానే ఫ్రీడమ్ ఉండాలి. ఆ స్వతంత్రంగా పనిచేసేటువంటి తత్వం అనేది లేకుంటే we become slaves. ఆ వర్క్ కి మనం బానిస అయిపోతాం. Might and mercy guide the conduct of men. What is might? It is power. So always people are running after power, running for power, fight for power, but they forget mercy, to show mercy on others. So mercy is heaven. Might is selfishness. The selfishness will bring sadness, that is misery. So mercy is heavenly. So we should do good and we can expect good result. When we are merciful, certainly our work is good. We can worship our work, and certainly we will work like a master and there will be a good result. Treat your work as worship, that is important. So whatever work we do, we should work with love and full of liberation, and at the same time selflessly, without any attachment. So that kind of work will bring us happiness. That's a very important thing. So this is about the lesson in a nutshell. So the nature of work we do, that is the main thing, the secret of work. What kind of work that we should do, that is the main thing discussed in the lesson by Swami Vivekananda. And when we come to the text, the secret of work written by Swami Vivekananda, let us see, do you feel happy while working? This is a question. So for all these questions, we find answers in this text. See, do you feel happy while working? When there is no happiness, when you work with sadness, means that is not really good work. When you do that work, means certainly you get misery. Second thing, do you work as a master or a slave? When you work as a master, that brings you peace. When you work as a slave, that brings you misery. Misery ante badal. How do you think the problem of the world can be solved? It is not by providing physical help. మనం అప్పటికప్పుడు చేసేటువంటి సహాయం ద్వారా ఏదో గొప్పగా ప్రపంచంలో ఉన్నటువంటి బాధలన్నింటినీ తొలగిస్తాం అనుకుంటే దట్ ఈస్ రాంగ్. సో వీ కెన్ మేక్ ద వరల్డ్ హ్యాపీ ఓన్లీ త్రూ వర్కింగ్ లైక్ ఎ మాస్టర్, బై డూయింగ్ అవర్ వర్క్ with love. Do you believe that human sufferings can be solved by selfless work? Yes, true. We can solve the sufferings of the people by our selfless work with love. So is the secret of success based on nature of work? Yes. Our secret of success is basing on the nature of work we do. What kind of work we do? If we do the good work, the result will be good. That is the secret of success. Now let us see the text line by line and see what is the gist, what Swami Vivekananda says about the secret of work. The miseries of the world cannot be cured by physical help only. Until man's nature changes, these physical needs will always arise and miseries always be felt. And no amount of physical help will cure them completely. I have already told you, miseries of the world, I mean, ప్రపంచంలో ఉన్నటువంటి బాధలన్నీ కూడా ఫిజికల్ హెల్ప్ ద్వారా క్యూర్ కావు. అవర్ ఫిజికల్ హెల్ప్, బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ టెంపరరీ హెల్ప్. సో దిస్ టెంపరరీ హెల్ప్ కెనాట్ క్యూర్ ద miseries of the world. Then how it can be cured? It is only by changing the nature. Our nature should be changed. Man's nature should be changed. Our conduct should be changed. Our character should be changed. That is the only solution. So the miseries will always be felt continuously. Whatever we do, there will be misery unless we are changed. So we should become pure. That is very important. When we are pure in our character, automatically the work will be good and there will be no misery. The only solution of this problem is to make mankind pure. I have told you, when mankind becomes pure means automatically there is no problem in the world. Ignorance is the mother of all the evil and all the misery we see. Ignorance, ajnanam, buddhihinata, that is a root cause of misery. Let men have light. Let them be pure and spiritually strong and educated. So we should have spiritual enlightenment. Adhyatmikata anedi chala mukyamainaటువంటిది. We should be spiritually strong and we should have good knowledge and good education. Then misery will be automatically, disappear. So we may convert every house in the country into a charity asylum, or we may convert the complete world into hospitals. But do you think the misery can be solved? Never. Misery of man will continue to exist until man's character changes. Whatever changes you make, that will not do. So unless we change our character, the miseries in the world cannot be changed. ప్రపంచంలో ఉన్నటువంటి బాధలన్నీ తొలగిపోవడానికి ముఖ్యమైనటువంటిది ఏంటంటే మొట్టమొదట మన యొక్క ప్రవర్తన నియమావళి ముఖ్యము. మనం మంచిగా మారినప్పుడు మాత్రమే ప్రపంచంలో ఉన్నటువంటి బాధలన్నీ కూడా తొలగుతాయి. దట్ ఈస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. హియర్ Swami Vivekananda uses a very famous saying from Bhagavad Gita. So again and again, here and there he uses, work is worship, work incessantly. Incessantly means continuously. Ante nirantaramuga, continue ga work chestu undali. All work is by nature composed of good and evil. Every work is a mixture of good and evil. So there is no separately good works and bad works. Every work has good and bad. We cannot do any work which will not do some good somewhere. There cannot be any work which will not cause some harm somewhere. So whatever good we do, there will be a little bit of harm that will do to someone somewhere. So every work must necessarily be a mixture of good and evil. That we know every work is a mixture of good and evil. Yet we are commanded to work incessantly. Even though the work we are doing is good or bad, we should work incessantly, continuously. That is the thing. Good and evil will both have their results. Good actions will bring good results. Bad actions will bring bad results. That is the thing. But good and bad are both bondages of soul. So these two are slaves to our soul. The solution reached in the Gita in regard to this cramping influence of work is that if we do not attach ourselves to it, whatever work we do, we should be unattached. That is important. When there is attachment, automatically we become slave to the work, and that is a slave's work. See, this is the one central idea in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to work incessantly, and he should not think about the work he is doing. When Arjuna retreated, stopped fighting, stopped sending arrows in the war, Sri Krishna advised him to continue his work. And he should not say, this is a good work, this is a bad work, because he is none to judge the work is good or bad, because he should be unattached with the work. He should not have any kind of attachment. Samskara can be translated very nearly by inherent tendency. What is samskara? It is nothing but our, inherent, inbuilt character, that is. See, the mind, using the simile of a lake for the mind. For example, here he compares our mind as a lake. Every ripple, wave in that lake rises in the water. So that continues, that will not stop. So there will be a mark of ripple, the wave. So future possibility of that wave coming out again and again. This mark with the possibility of the wave reappearing is called samskara. So that is our conduct. That is the inherent tendency of our mind. So every work that we do, every movement of the body, every thought we think leaves such an impression in our mind. That is, even when such impressions are not obvious, very clear on the surface, they are sufficiently strong to work beneath the surface, subconsciously. So when we do any work, there is a kind of impression that we leave. If it is a good impression, it brings good result. If it is a bad impression, certainly it brings bad result. What we are every moment is determined by the sum total of these impressions on the mind. So total character of man is decided by the works we do. What I am just at this moment is effect of sum total of all the impressions of the past life. So it is not only the present character, present work. So it is countable of the past, present. So this is really what is meant by character. So what is character? Whatever work we do in the past, whatever work we are doing in the present, togetherly decide the character of the person. Each man's character is determined by the sum total of these impressions. If good impressions prevail, the character becomes good. If bad impressions are dominating, certainly that is bad character. That we should understand. If a man continuously hears bad words, certainly his actions will be bad and his mind will be full of bad impressions, and that will influence his bad character. In fact, these bad impressions totally decide the character. In fact, the sum total of these impressions in him will create a strong motive power for doing bad actions. So he will be like a machine. Man is just like a machine in the hands of impressions. They will force him to do evil similarly. And the same mind, the machine will force him to do good also. But it is we should decide to take good actions or bad actions, to do good or bad. So in a similar way, when we do good actions, actually the result will be good. If it is bad, certainly we get bad result. And when a man has done so much good work and thought so many good thoughts, there is an irresistible tendency in him to do good. In spite of himself, and even if he wishes to do evil, his mind as a sum total of his tendencies will not allow him. If his mind is full of good actions, good thoughts, the bad will be suppressed. The bad thoughts will be suppressed and good actions will dominate him, and automatically he does good and he will get good result. He will be a good person. When such is the case, a man's good character is said to be established. Our character is established on the works we do. The works are good means we can expect, we can see the good result. As the tortoise tucks its feet and head inside the shell, here he uses another example. And you may kill it and break it, but the tortoise would not come out. In the same way, whatever we do, our character is established. He controls his own inner forces and nothing can draw them out against his will. By this continuous reflex of good thoughts, good impressions moving over the surface of the mind, the tendency for doing good becomes strong, and as a result, we feel able to control the indriyas. So here what Swami Vivekananda says, control over our sense organs, the nerve centers, that is important. When we have control over the indriyas, certainly the character is established. Then alone a man gets to truth. When a man has control over the indriyas, automatically the character is established. Then alone a man gets to truth. Such a man is safe forever. He cannot do any evil because his mind is completely with good impressions, good thoughts, and goodness is established. You may place him in any kind of bad company or any place, he will be good. Bad will not influence him. There is a still higher state than having this good tendency. ఒక వ్యక్తి యొక్క మనసు పూర్తిగా మంచితో నిండి ఉన్నప్పుడు అతని యొక్క ప్రవర్తన అనేటువంటిది ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ అవుతుంది. అంటే ఎంత బ్యాడ్ బయట నుండి ఫోర్స్ఫుల్ గా వచ్చినా కానీ అతని యొక్క గుడ్ క్యారెక్టర్ అనేటువంటిది ఆ బ్యాడ్ ని పూర్తిగా కూడా పూర్తిగా కూడా పంపించేస్తుంది. సో లిబరేషన్ మీన్స్ ఫుల్ ఫ్రీడమ్. Freedom is important here. Freedom from bondage of good and also bondage of bad. We should have freedom in our work. Whatever work we do, we should have freedom. That's important. For example, you see golden chain, iron chain. Both are chains, that's all. We decide the value of it. Actually, both are chains after all. For example, if there is a thorn in your finger, and we use another thorn to take the first one out. When it is taken out, we throw both of them because both are thorns. Just they are thorns after all. So the bad tendencies are to be counteracted by the good ones. And the bad impressions on the mind should be removed by the fresh waves of good ones. So when there is good waves, automatically bad will become suppressed until all that is evil almost disappears, is subdued and held in control in corner of the mind. But after that, the good tendencies have also to be conquered. So our attachment is very important. We should not have any kind of attachment to the work we do. The attachment becomes the unattached work, but let not the action or the thought produce a deep impression on the mind. Let the ripples come and go. Let huge actions proceed from the muscles and the brain, but let them not make any deep impression on the soul. So there should not be any kind of deep attachment to the work that we do. Because when we have that attachment, automatically we become slave to the soul, slave to the work. How can this be done? We see that the impressions of any action to which we get attached, that remains. So in a day, we may meet hundreds of people, but particularly you meet one you love. That person is remaining in your mind for a long time. For example, on that day night, when you think about all the faces that you have met on that day, certainly only face comes to your mind. That is the person you love. In the same way, the work you love, the work you do with love is bringing a good result. So the person you loved, all the others have disappeared from your mind. Some thousands of faces you have seen, but only one face that you loved that person. So my attachment to this particular person caused a deeper impression on my mind than all other faces. Physiologically, the impressions have all been the same. The same way, whatever we do, when there is love with the work, automatically that is master's work. Therefore, what Swami Vivekananda says, be unattached to the work you do. Let the brain centers work. We should work incessantly, continuously, but not let the mind be affected. Whatever work we do, mind should not be affected. మనం ఏ పని చేసినా మన యొక్క మైండ్ అనేటువంటిది ఎలాంటి చిన్న ఒడిదుడుకులకు దారి తీయకూడదు. మనం చేసే పనితో మనం అటాచ్మెంట్, క్లోజ్నెస్ ఉండకూడదు. అన్అటాచ్డ్ గా ఉండాలి. వర్క్ యాజ్ ఇఫ్ యూ వర్ ఎ స్ట్రేంజర్ ఇన్ దిస్ ల్యాండ్, ఎ సోజోనర్, ఎ టెంపరరీ పర్సన్. So it is a temporary thing, but the work should be continuous, but we should be a very stranger to the work. We should not bind ourselves to the work we do, because we become a slave to the work, and that slavery is terrible. This world is not our habitation. It is not our permanent bower. ఈ ప్రపంచం అనేటువంటిది మనకు శాశ్వతమైనటువంటిది కాదు. అంటే మనం ఈ ప్రపంచంలో శాశ్వతమైనటువంటి వాళ్ళం కాదు. It is only one of the many stages through which we are passing. There are many stages, from childhood days, then youth, then middle age, then old age. In that way, this is our temporary habitation, that's all. So in this world, we will be very temporary. The world is permanent, but we will be very temporary in this world. That we should understand. So the gist of this teaching is that You should work like a master and not as a slave. And here also he repeats, work incessantly, but you should work like a master, but not like a slave. Slave's work is bringing you misery, and master, when you work like a master, that brings you happiness. Do you not see how everybody works? Everybody works like a slave. 99% of people work like slaves, and the result is misery. It is all selfish work, no love in the work, so no freedom. So, when we work through freedom, when we work through love, the word love is very difficult to understand here. Love never comes until there is freedom. So, these two words are closely related. When there is love, certainly there is freedom. When there is no love, there is no freedom to you. There is no true love possible in the slave. If you buy a slave and tie him down in chains and make him work for you, he will work like a drudge, but there will be no love in him. ఒక వ్యక్తిని కట్టేసి బానిసలాగా పని చేయమంటే చేస్తాడు, కానీ అతను చేసేటువంటి పనిలో ఏమాత్రం లవ్ అనేది ఉండదు. కాబట్టి అక్కడ ఫ్రీడమ్ కూడా ఉండదు. అక్కడ ఫ్రీడమ్ లేదు కాబట్టి అక్కడ నో లవ్. సో వెన్ వి వర్క్ లైక్ slave, that is bringing us misery. So when we ourselves work for the things of the world as slaves, there can be no love in us. So slaves' work brings no love. There is no freedom. And our work is not true work. This is true of work done for relatives and friends, and is true of work done for our own selves. Selfish work is slaves' work. Selfless work is master's work. మనం ప్రేమతో స్వేచ్ఛతో చేసేటువంటి పని మాస్టర్స్ వర్క్. బానిసత్వంతో స్వార్థంతో చేసేటువంటి పని దట్ ఈస్ స్లేవ్స్ వర్క్. ఎవ్రీ యాక్ట్ ఆఫ్ లవ్ బ్రింగ్స్ హ్యాపీనెస్. There is no act of love which does not bring peace and blessedness in its reaction. Real existence, real knowledge, and real love are certainly connected with no another, with one another. See, the three in one, where one of them is, the others also must be. They are the three aspects of one without a second, the existent knowledge, bliss. See, real existence, real knowledge, real love. These three are very important. What Krishna says. Krishna says, look at me, Arjuna. If I stop from work just for a moment, the whole universe will die. What will happen? There is nothing in this universe. But do you think that I have anything expecting from you? Nothing. I have nothing to gain from the work. I am the one Lord, but why should I work? Because I love people. I love the world. God is unattached because he loves. He has freedom. The real love makes us unattached. See, when he expects anything from us, really that work is not master's work. So, to attain this unattachment is almost a life's work. As soon as we have reached this point, we have attained the goal of love and we become free, and there is no question of bondage, and our work is master's work. So the bondage of nature falls from us and we see nature as she is. So why? Our work should be unattached, selfless, and we should do the work with love and freedom. When there is freedom, automatically there will be love in the work we do. Then this work is called master's work. Do you ask anything from your children in return? For example, we the parents, we do everything for our children. We nurture them, we look after them, we do all kinds of things. But do we expect anything from the children? Never. If we expect, that is slave's work. Do you ask anything from your children in return for what you have given them? It's your duty. As a parent, it is our duty to work for them. And there the matter ends. Whatever we do, that ends the matter. We should not expect in return. In whatever you do for a particular person, a city, or anything, that is the real work. And we should not expect anything in return. If you can invariably take the position of a giver, when you think that you are the giver and you expect anything in return, automatically you become a slave and there will be attachment. That attachment comes only where we expect a return. For example, when you give a pen to your friend, when returning, never expect that he should say you thanks. Automatically, you should say thanks to him for giving the opportunity of helping him. So this is the secret of work. మనం ఏ పని చేసినా తిరిగి అతని నుండి ఏది కూడా ఆశించకూడదు. అలా ఆశించినట్లయితే అది స్లేవ్స్ వర్క్ అవుతుంది. మనం చేయడం మన డ్యూటీ, మనం సహాయపడడం ఇట్ ఈస్ అవర్ డ్యూటీ, దట్స్ ఆల్. If working like slaves result in selfishness and attachment, working as masters of our own mind gives rise to the bliss of non-attachment. When we have freedom and love in our work, automatically we become unattached to the work and we do not expect anything in return from the people, and that work is master's work. We often talk of right and justice. It is meaningless. We should not talk about it. We don't have right of talking about right and justice. But we find that in the world, right and justice are mere, it is baby talk. It is a meaningless talk. There are two things which we guide the conduct. What are they? Might, that is power, and mercy, showing mercy on others. When we go on talking about might, that is power, and running for power, running after the power, that is selfishness. All men and women try to make the most of whatever power or advantage they have. Every time human beings thinks, this is my power and this is my greatness, this is my advantage. So these are the people with slavery work. These are the people and always getting misery. Mercy, when we do some kind of help to others without expecting in return, that is heavenly. And we should be always good. We have all to be merciful to others. We should always help others. Even justice and right should stand on mercy. All thought of obtaining return for the work we do hinders our spiritual progress. Actually, whatever work we do, we should never expect anything in return. So our spiritual progress, when we help others spiritually, that is spiritual help. So there are three kinds of help: physical help, intellectual help, spiritual help. Physical help is the tentative, that is temporary for the time being. Intellectual help for some more time. And what is spiritual help? That gives permanent solution to the person that we help. So in the end, it brings misery. When the work is, when we do any kind of help, I mean physical help, there is no full satisfaction. There is another way in which this idea of mercy and selfless charity can be put into practice. That is, by looking upon works as worship, we should treat our work as worship. We should worship our work. We should always worship our work. మనం చేసేటువంటి పనే దైవంతో సమానంగా చూడాలి. So work is worship, and we should work incessantly. We should never think about the result of the work, and there should be love, freedom, and unattachment. Whatever work we do, here we give up all the fruits of our work unto the Lord. So let us give the result to the God. So we should not think about the result, whether good or bad. Whatever work we do, I have already told you, every work is a mixture of good and bad. So after doing your work, leave the result to the Lord and worship Him. As you worship, and as you worship your work, the same way you worship the God. Thus, we have no right to expect anything from mankind for the work we do. Whatever work we do for the mankind, we should not expect any kind of return. If we expect anything, means that becomes a selfish work, and that brings some kind of misery only. Just as water cannot wet the lotus leaf, తామరాకు మీద నీటి బొట్టు వలె ఉండాలి. మనం చేసేటువంటి ఏ సహాయమైన అటాచ్మెంట్ ఉండకూడదు. So work cannot bind the unselfish man by giving rise to an attachment to results. So when you have attachment, the result will be bad. So our work should be just like water on the lotus leaf. So we should not have any attachment to the work we do. That is important. The selfless and unattached man may live in the very heart of the crowded and sinful city. So the selfless, unattached man who is doing his work with love and freedom will always live in the minds of the people forever. He will not be touched by sin. He will not be touched. There is no kind of sin touches him. So he will be the best person. This is the secret of work Swami Vivekananda talks about in this prose piece. And coming to the end, what we have seen, just a few important points that we see here. See, what is the root cause of ignorance of human beings? Misery of human beings. It is the ignorance. మన బాధలన్నిటికీ మూల కారణము మన అజ్ఞానము. That is important thing. Can we change the misery of the people by physical help? It is not possible. And what Bhagavad Gita says that we should remember always. Work is worship. And work incessantly. Work incessantly, continuously, but never think about the result or anything in return. Leave the result to God. We should work like a master, not as a slave. Our work should have freedom, and it should be with love. There is no question of selfishness. Such a work will bring you happiness. Attachment comes only when we expect anything in return. We can work continuously without expecting anything. So what we have seen here, very important, the secret of work, it depends upon the work we do. So love your work, have freedom, help others, never expect anything in return, leave the result to God. These 5 points to keep in your mind. So it is a very philosophical lesson by Swami Vivekananda. And here are the 2 paragraph questions, and you try at home. How can the miseries of the world be cured according to Swami Vivekananda? It is a simple thing. How we cannot cure the miseries? How can we cure the miseries of the people? It is by changing the character. We should change our nature. That is important. By changing ourselves, automatically we can bring an end to the miseries of the world. And what is meant by working like a master and not as a slave? When we work with selfishness and attachment without love, that is slave's work. When we worship our work and do the work with love and unattachment, that is master's work. And above all these, we should not expect anything in return from the people, whatever help we do. This is an important one. So, my dear people, my dear senior intermediate students, you have listened to this beautiful philosophical essay, The Secret of Work. Hope you might have understood the gist, the summary, and you go through line by line. So it is a simple one. and certainly you will find very good happiness. And I am very thankful to your kind patience, and continue doing your works without postponement. And let us hope the time will become good and we all meet in our colleges. That's an important.